hello. Get ready. It's time for Tomato Talk. That's right. Top of mind, advancing through opportunities. We're definitely going to change the name of this thing. Forget about the obstacles. Forget about them. We're going to minimize obstacles. That's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on the good stuff. We're going to focus on the opportunities that present itself. And all those little obstacles that we face, all those little things like, I don't know, how do I do this? I'm not too sure. Those are actually opportunities. Yes, yes, it is true. I will tell you this right now, at this moment, no hesitation. Those obstacles that are in front of us become opportunities. If you're going to be asked to speak in front of a group on a topic and you're not 100% sure about that opportunity, about that topic, well, what is that? Is that a problem? Is that a reason to say no? No. It's a reason to learn a little bit more. We're going to reference Toastmasters in here today, so I might as well bring it up right at the beginning about a speech that I wanted to give. And the reason why I joined Toastmasters in the first place, I was always comfortable on stage. Always. I take a look back at fourth grade. I played Christopher Columbus. That's right. Christopher Columbus. I founded America. Well, at least I found America in front of a chalkboard in a fourth grade class in front of about 20 other students, one teacher, and I think it was a half a dozen crew people. One of them found America first. Actually, I didn't find America then, did I? I was just the captain of that vessel. But one of the crew members said, "Hark, I see land." So I gave that person my vest. It was a brown fringed vest. I gave that vest to them. Oh, do I wish I still had that vest. But I gave it away because they found America. It's actually, why in the world does Christopher Columbus get credit for finding America? Well, it's actually that person that actually found it. Columbus just led the way. A few other people prior to that, and the rest of that guy. But I wasn't, well, maybe I did know the story, but I didn't know exactly all the rest of that stuff. Maybe I didn't really have the confidence to do the whole thing, but I learned a little bit more. And I learned about it better because I had the role of playing Christopher Columbus. So I had to get it, had to understand it. Was that an obstacle or an opportunity? It was actually an opportunity to learn, but it was an opportunity to learn only because I wanted to learn. If it was something I did not want to learn, then it became an opportunity to say no and not do it, or became an obstacle that became a wall. It's like, no, no. So it's the attitude that we approach these things in life that are key to it. Key to it. So every time that something comes up that you're not too sure about, you got to ask yourself, am I going to use this as an excuse not to do it? Or am I going to use this as an opportunity to learn a little bit more? So Toastmasters. Inside of Toastmasters, I joined Toastmasters not because I wanted to become more comfortable on stage. That was not my opportunity or obstacle. It was because I was not effective on stage. I was not effective. I was there having a good time doing the rest of that stuff. And it was like, oh, I wasn't as good as I could be. I just delivered factual information. That was not really where I wanted to go with my career. I wanted to be more effective, not effective delivering facts, but effective in motivating people, effective in getting people to think and getting people to see the opportunity that's presented to them with regards to the products that we were talking about at the time, which I won't get into. But so I joined Toastmasters, and the idea there was I wanted to become more demonstrative. I wanted to become more demonstrative and effective in my presentations. So I picked something that I had an interest in learning more about. And that's the speech I gave. Now, I could have done it on something that I knew, but I didn't get excited about that. I wanted to give it on something that I wanted to be fresh, wanted to learn more about, that kind of thing. So I live on Long Island. For those of you who are not local over here, Long Island was formed by glacial deposits twice, something like 20,000 years ago. came down once, pushed a whole bunch of dirt from Connecticut and rocks from Connecticut, receded, came back again, made another push, and Long Island was formed. Okay, created Long Island Sound also, created Lake Ronkonkoma and some of these other places that are here. Formed Long Island. It basically formed Long Island. So Long Island is debris, if you want to look at it like that. We're debris from Connecticut and further points northeast where that glacier came. So I wanted to give a speech on that, and I wanted to be more demonstrative, and I wanted to be more effective in communicating this whole idea. So I'm like, how do I do that? That's where I joined the Toastmasters. Well, I joined Toastmasters, and I used that as an example of or a vehicle to use in order to give a speech that was demonstrative, hopefully effective, memorable, visual. So I put the research into it to find out exactly what it was, how Long Island got formed, these glacial deposits, when it was, and stuff like that. I also found a couple of different boulders that were left behind that were from Connecticut and thereabouts that were left here because they traveled on top of these glaciers and they were just deposited here. There's quite a few of them on Long Island, and it's actually a pretty darn interesting story. I had 5 to 7 minutes to tell this story. And I took the opportunity to do it. And I did. I made believe I was a rock. I crawled up in the front of the room in a ball of a rock. That is true. I felt like a moron. That is true. But I did it. And I spoke about how I got separated from my family because we were from the Northeast. Think around Connecticut area. And this great big wall of ice. I didn't know what it was at the time, but it just pushed us. It pushed us mile after mile and left us here on Long Island. And then it went away. And then came back. I thought my family was coming, but no, never happened. It was basically the beginning story of the whole thing about the formation of Long Island and giving a speech on something I didn't know about, but taking the opportunity to learn about the formation of Long Island. Now, what I didn't need to know was the audience, because the audience was just a receptive audience. That's what Toastmasters is. So maybe I do know the audience. It's a receptive audience. And that's what Toastmasters is all about, being a receptive audience. You'll get an opportunity to speak in many places, if you so desire, in front of receptive audiences. But many of these receptive audiences are still there for some reason. Hey, maybe you're speaking at one of the Rotary clubs. Excellent. Are they a receptive audience? You bet they are. Of course they are. They're happy to have you come in. You talk about something. It's great. You have lunch. They give you a round of applause. Take a few photos. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's a receptive audience. But what do you want them to take away? Now you have to know your audience. In Toastmasters, I was looking for them to help me, and therein lies the big difference between giving speeches in Toastmasters and other places. See, in Toastmasters, I knew they were a receptive audience. Okay, I also knew that their goal, overall, from better speaker, etc., was to give me feedback. That's their purpose. I know the audience because that is the audience. The audience's goal is to give me feedback. The audience's goal at a Rotary Club or Chamber of Commerce or wherever is not to give you feedback. It's something else. It's whatever their mission statement is. So you do have to know your audience differently. And that's where that goes. So let's go tie in with Toastmasters. Toastmasters actually has a video. This was produced years ago. I haven't watched it actually in quite a while. But let's go see what they say about knowing your audience. All right, let's go. Share screen. And we're going to bring in Chrome tab, knowing your audience on YouTube. Let's share. All right, this is about a 4.5 minute video, 4 minutes, 41 seconds to be exact. It is produced by Toastmasters, and it is knowing your audience.
Hello, I'm Jay. Thanks for visiting Toastmasters International to learn more about knowing your audiences. Since 1924, we've helped more than 4 million people gain the confidence to communicate in any circumstance. And one of the most demanding situations you'll ever face is speaking to an audience. Here are some time-tested tips to help you prepare so that you feel empowered to impress others. Truly, getting to know your audience begins before you ever present. Have you ever listened to a speaker you couldn't connect with? Worse yet, have you ever been a speaker who couldn't make that connection with your audience? Maybe they didn't laugh at a joke, or they seemed to be ignoring you. Maybe some of them even walked out. Unfortunately, this happens to some speakers. It's the result of an assumption speakers make that all audiences are going to be just like them. Assuming that an audience shares your beliefs, values, and political preferences is dangerous. Never rely on the way people look to judge how they will behave as an audience or react to your presentation. You run the risk of alienating or offending them. Instead, make sure you know something about the culture of the audience you are addressing. So, what should you do? If you're traveling to a foreign country, research its customs and culture online. Know the dress code, food restrictions, humor, and interpersonal communication styles before you leave home. Also, know which gestures should be off limits with that crowd. If you're visiting a company, even one in your own country, you should learn about its corporate culture. Read news reports, websites, and blogs. Write to insiders you have already been introduced to and ask questions. Send polls, surveys, or questionnaires to your upcoming audience if you have access to the attendance list. That's an easy way to learn about your audience without ever leaving your desk. Once you've learned about your audience's culture, it's time to find out what they want from you. The best way to focus your topic correctly and earn appreciation from your audience is to offer them what they came to hear. Let's say you have an advanced degree in biochemistry. If you talk in general about your field, you could be wasting an audience's time. They might be there to hear about your discovery of a potential cure for diabetes. Anything else you discuss will seem unimportant by comparison. It's better if you know what they want to learn before you arrive, so you can tailor your speech to fit their needs. If you can't find out in advance, there are other ways to get to know your audience. When your audience is walking in, take the opportunity to talk with some of the attendees. Introduce yourself and ask them targeted questions to help you understand their culture and their expectations for your speech. You might be surprised by what you hear. Make adjustments as necessary. Some savvy speakers use a technique known as call and response. It's pretty simple and will allow your audience to engage with you while sharing their information fast. Call out questions such as, how many of you were business majors in college? Then wait for hands to go up. Frame your questions to learn as much as you can about their composition and needs. Then use that information to answer their questions. People appreciate it when you take the time to get to know a little about their lives. So it's a good idea to mention a local landmark, event, or specialty, like telling them how much you enjoyed skiing in Switzerland, so long as you're speaking in the Swiss Alps. Whenever it's culturally favored, be sure to use plenty of eye contact and smiles. People generally respond well to a friendly person. Even in a culture that frowns on smiles, you can still make a connection, find out how they bond with their speakers, and try to do what they expect in that regard. It's worth the effort. You'll help them feel more comfortable, and they'll be ready to hear your message. With a little advanced research, preparation, and practice, you will know your audiences and be able to give presentations anywhere. For more information on speaking in front of an audience, please visit a Toastmasters Club. Find a location near you at toastmasters.org.
There you go, Toastmasters.org. What about that? What about some of the things that he mentioned in there? I think they're a little generic, don't you? In all honesty, definitely a little generic. First off, culture. All right, right. Granted, and it's actually interesting. I went to a meeting. It was in Hauppauge, local, right? And it was at the county offices, and it was about networking. And I think the topic is actually about networking. There's people with different nationalities. What was interesting, the most interesting feedback I got back from somebody was I made him feel uncomfortable. I was like, dude, really? I was like really surprised about that. Hey, look, if you come to me and you say you want to become a better speaker, and I tell you get on a comedy stage, do improv, get in front of 1,000 people and sing, okay, I'm making you feel uncomfortable. I get it. I get it. That's part of the deal. Really is. You do that. You can do a lot, but I didn't do that. I just met this gentleman for the very first time. And afterwards he came over to me. He said, I just want to let you know that I felt uncomfortable with you. And that is the last thing in the world that I want to do, right? I mean, you know, friendly, I smile, I make eye contact, I shake hands, you know, that kind of thing. Wrong, wrong. I mean, I did that stuff there, but that wasn't his culture. That was interesting. I didn't know that. Not only didn't I know that, I never even thought of it. Didn't even cross my mind. Bad, selfish. Maybe it's reality. Maybe it is something that a lot of us do without even thinking because we're not thinking. Don't even think about it. What is that person's culture like? So it turns out his culture was the fact that you don't make eye contact. Huh? I'm shocked on that one. Really, truly shocked on that one. So there is a lot to be said if you're speaking internationally. A friend of mine's a professional speaker. She had the opportunity to speak in a country that was a very conservative country. And the question was, what does she wear and what does she not say? Remember, they'd hired her. So if you're thinking, oh my, I am the speaker, they hired me. Who'd they hire? They hired me as a speaker because they know what I speak about. They know who I am, and this is what it is. And I'm going in there to deliver my presentation. No, you're not. You're going in there to deliver your content, true, but you are going in there to deliver your content to that audience. So it's very important that you get a chance to know that audience. Dress code. In the case of dress code, when she was brought this up with us, she was wearing a dress, looked nice, everything appropriately covered and everything like that, except her arms. It was sleeveless. No, 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 not sleeveless. Doesn't work that way. That would have been a faux pas. And the language used also is certainly something that you need to take into account. Not going to get into the language, and I don't mean cursing, just other phrases and things like that. You know, but the dress code was a big thing. It really was. So she had to dress much more conservatively than she was, and she was dressed nicely and the rest of that kind of stuff. So it was, that was a part of it. But that dress thing, and that's an important one. So when you're speaking to an audience, what you wear is so unbelievably important. It's the first impression. I had a conversation with one of the guys in my neighborhood over here. He's getting his driveway done. It turns out that he was a home inspector, and he had bought a home, sold a home, that kind of thing. So what we were talking about is curb appeal. You go over to buy someone's home, right? If you're looking to move, you want to buy a home, rent an apartment, do whatever it is. You're going to come up with an opinion before you even get out of the car. You're going to see what the mailbox looks like. You're going to see what the lawn looks like. You're going to see whatever the landscaping looks like. You're going to take a look at the roof. You're going to take a look at the windows. Take a look at the driveway, maybe. You think that's any different when it comes to giving a presentation? Nah, not at all. Not at all. Go back to another Toastmaster comment over here, right? Toastmaster comment. So I am in New York City and I'm giving a presentation and I'm standing on the side waiting for my turn. And the Toastmaster of the day is announcing me, doing the intro, and I'm sitting on the side waiting for her to say, and here's Brian Cohen. I come up, I go through the hand motions, I give my speech. I sit down. Later on, the person comes up to evaluate me, and he's like, "Man, you didn't look like you were interested in doing that." I was like, "Huh?" So as soon as my name was called, I took the lectern, took the stage, delivered my presentation. Hand motion, body language, the whole of everything. But that wasn't it. He was evaluating me from the first time he saw me. Same thing as a car when you're looking to buy a house. He evaluated me when he saw me standing on the side. It looked like I was bored. I was waiting. I wasn't bored. I was just waiting. That was it. Where did this come from? Well, it came from a non-Toastmaster, I should tell you that, because in Toastmasters, the speech technically begins when you utter your first word or make a sound or anything like that. So his evaluation of me from a Toastmaster standpoint would have been incorrect. His evaluation of me from real life was 100% spot on. Love getting opinions from people that quote unquote don't know all the rules. See, the thing is that this guy was a dancer, and he knows that as soon as the audience sees him, whether he's front and center, on the side, wherever, but as soon as the audience sees him, he is on stage. And he saw me standing there. So as far as he was concerned, I was on stage. Your dress code, what you wear, if you're wearing a flashy suit, if you're wearing a plain suit, you're wearing a tie, you're wearing a button shirt, button here, button down a little bit more, you're wearing jewelry, and then don't go overboard wearing jewelry and interfere with the microphones. There's a rule, doing that. Ladies with earrings, don't wear a lot of jingly kind of earrings, quiet, loose, feathers, whatever. But if they make noise, not good. It's going to get picked up on the microphone. But any of those things, people are going to see that as the first impression. That's it. Let me give you a few other ideas here about this know your audience thing, besides dress code and stuff like that. What if your audience met you? No, let's go with this. Is it an opportunity or an obstacle? Oh, you've never spoken in front of this group before. You were called in at the last minute to speak to the group of widget makers. You don't really know them. You've looked up widgets. You know what a widget is. That's good. You know what the business is. That's good. You know what the goal is. That's good. But you don't really know the audience. Are they salespeople? Are they back office people? Are they administrative? Are they folks that do business with the firm? Referral partners? You don't know. Here's what you could do to know your audience. Greet them. That was mentioned in there. Greet them. Walk around before your speech and say, "Hi, my name is Brian. I'm going to be giving the presentation today. Really looking forward to it. There's a few things that I want to know. What do you think is the biggest issue in the industry right now, or one of the things you love about the company, or whatever would be most appropriate based upon your topic over there?" But speak to the folks. Speak to and meet many people. A couple of things are going to happen here. One, people going to notice that you are mingling with them and that you are asking questions. They got to be good questions, though. Don't say, "Hey, what do you think I should talk about?" Oh, come on, really? you know, what's the biggest issue on your mind? Make it personal to them. Now you're asking their opinion, not something about the company or industry that's general. You should know that. But people are going to see you speaking to other people over there. So now you are going to know your audience better, but your audience is going to know that you care, that you spent the time, energy, and effort on that. Ooh, that's a win on both sides, isn't it? What about eye contact? First time speaking in front of this group, maybe you're a little new. Here's what you do too. You just met some of these people. You get on stage, locate them. You can't find them. Now's the time you're going to believe you located them. But when you're up on that stage, you can say, Bob asked me, he brought up a really good point when I was chatting with him prior to the presentation. He had mentioned that the industry growing, 20%. Why is that? Are we that much more effective? Is it overall economics? Whatever the question is. And you can just put your hand out as if you're pointing toward Bob. Most of the folks in that audience probably wouldn't know where Bob is sitting. If you do know where Bob is sitting, well, the better. That's good because you don't want Bob to stand up if you're pointing left and Bob stands up all the way in the top right corner. And he says, "Hey, I'm over here." It's not good. Unless it's like you've taken an improv comedy class. Now you got yourself some material. You could say you snuck around. You could say he's giving you a hard time. So that Bob, he's resourceful. He knows how to get whatever, how to get me, how to keep me on my toes. You could say any of those things. It's a moment in time. You got a quick comeback, man. You got that audience. So now you've made eye contact. You've shown that you've spoken with people in advance. You're now connecting with these people. You made them smile. You don't even have to laugh at that one. They made them smile. So that obstacle of Bob movement might actually be the best thing in the world. Best thing in the world. All these things are. To know your audience that way really makes sense to do that. If people have spoken before you, get to know them, see what their message is. Maybe you could tie it in a little bit with that with the message that they're saying. But it really makes sense for you to pay attention to the audience, right? You know your content. You've been asked to speak to that group for a reason. But if you know your audience, you know your audience well. Here's what's going to happen. One, your message will be on target. That's always nice. As you mentioned in there too, if you're a brilliant person that's done some biology research and you're just looking at the general industry, and these folks want to know what the possible cure for diabetes is, and that's one of the things that was mentioned in there that you're working on, you guys talk about it. So you need to really make sure that you are connecting with your audience and you are delivering the information that your audience wants to hear. How do you do that? Go in the audience and ask them questions beforehand. Speak to the people that have hired you. Make sure you are clear about what it is that they want you to accomplish too, and make it personal. The only thing that I would disagree with on the comment that was made there, and Darren LaCroix brought it up, and I think he was right. It really made me think about this. Is that who are you talking to? You're talking to one person at a time. That's it. You're not talking to 100 people. You're talking to one person at a time. That's where the eye contact comes in. So when he had mentioned in there about how many of you don't do that, ask, when was the last time you did it? That's a personal question. How many of you? They're thinking, I wonder how many of us did. When I ask, when was the last time you did it? Now or now you're thinking about you personally. You can even phrase that question a little bit differently if you want them to raise their hand and get the audience interaction with that. Sometimes you get the audience interaction, sometimes not, depends on the group. There's pluses and minuses with that. Sometimes the audience interaction is going to be hard doing something like this. There is no real audience interaction, right? If it's a live audience, you could probably get it a little bit more so. But speak to them individually. Go back to that speech that I gave, that humorous speech that didn't work out terribly well. I spoke to a group of 150 people. One person got it. It's a good thing I was talking to one person because one person got it. And that's the way that one went. Find different ways to connect with your audience. The biggest thing is to know them. Know them. Do everything in your power to get to know them. Tomorrow, I'm going to share with you what I'm going to do to get to know the audience when we get back out there to go announce these races. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I will be part of the audience. I will be talking to me when I do those announcing. That's going to be cool. And we're going to raise the level of knowledge for everybody, because that's what I'd like to see happen. And I'm hoping, and I do believe that that's what the audience is going to see too. Should be a lot of fun. All right. Stay well. Today is July 6th. Ooh, first week of the second half of this year. Let's make this one count. It's going to be a good one. One way of doing that is by speaking well, speaking often, live and inspire. You just might inspire somebody else to do exactly the same thing. Lead by example, my friends. Have a great day.